guys, coming at you today with another little update video. This week, kind of an important week, if I think about it. It also brings me back to a lot of mixed emotions with the pregnancy and gaining weight. So I thought I'd share with you my little weight loss journey. On this weekend, last year, I posted a video, and probably was the week after, because this is the weekend that we went on a little anniversary trip. It was the anniversary of when Adam and I first started dating, but he also proposed that weekend. So now it's kind of our anniversary for that, but then we got married, so now we have another anniversary. The initial reason for that trip was because I reached my goal weight finally of 165, which I know doesn't seem very low, but that's the lowest I had been since I was 16. So it was a big moment and goal for me to get down there. So, and then our anniversary, and then also because I had just gotten monetized on YouTube. So I've been officially making a little bit of money for a year on YouTube. It's just crazy what has all happened since then. To understand where I am now, you gotta kind of understand where I was, where I came from. I mean, I only found keto the last 2.5 years, and I'm 35, and I've been overweight pretty much since I was 10. It's been a long journey, to say the least, and finding keto was definitely like this wow moment that I realized I won't have too much trouble losing weight in the future. But I started out at age 13, I believe, with Weight Watchers. And I mean, it is kind of the healthier way to do it than obviously just like crash dieting, just super low calorie, exercising like crazy. But it's still, you paid, at the time, I think it was $10.99 a week. You went to the meeting every week. You got weighed in every week. You counted your points. I know it's changed a lot since then, but this was a long time ago. At 13, I was 238. And from 238 to 165, it took me 2 years of doing Weight Watchers. And the weight came off really slow, especially because I wasn't eating healthy Weight Watchers. I was like eating nothing for breakfast and then eating a Snickers bar and a Diet Coke for lunch, which was like 8 points, and then eating the rest of my points at dinner. So it wasn't I did it like the most unhealthy way possible. Of course, I was a teenager, so I wanted to eat my Snickers bar. It took me a long time, but I finally got down to my 165. I think the whole reason I started gaining weight at around 10 was because I stopped cheerleading. And I always wonder what would have happened if I continued on with it. Basically, once I quit that, I had no exercise. So it's always a what if in my mind, but I'd be a totally different person if I continued with cheerleading. It's just funny to think about. I was also working out with my mom and stuff too. We were doing the Taibo, down in the basement, and the VHS tapes. I wasn't getting a ton of exercise. After that, I was 16, pretty much, like 13, 14, 15. And then when I was 16, I got my first job in a restaurant at Bob Evans. And of course, that's when I slowly started gaining the weight back because I was around all the food all day. We got half off meals, and my meal I would choose was usually dessert because I'd rather eat dessert than actual food, which is crazy. But that's how I've always been, and that's why I went to pastry school, because I love sweets and I love desserts, and I'd rather eat desserts than actual food. So I'm actually a pretty picky eater. I've become less picky in my, older age. Definitely still like more desserts than I like actual food. I slowly started gaining the weight back. I think I only got up to like 200. I went off to college, which I was in pastry school, and I didn't really gain much weight there because the cafeteria was ran by culinary students and most of the food was pretty gross. So really, I didn't eat much in college. I did have a fridge stocked full of desserts all the time, but I was more interested in other recreational activities anyways. So it just kind of naturally, I stayed around 200 pounds. I gained, but I wasn't like going crazy. We used to go out dancing and stuff to the clubs and stuff when I was younger too. So I got a little bit of exercise on the weekends. But after that, I got into a relationship at college, and I ended up leaving before him. He still had another like 6 months or a year or something left on his schooling. So I came back and I went to work on a cruise ship where I really didn't gain any significant amount of weight. It was the same deal. They put the worst cooks in the crew mess hall. So basically the food was the worst it could be because they were the worst cooks. So I didn't eat a ton. I smoked a lot of cigarettes. I was only 19 at the time, so I couldn't really drink. I drank off the ship. I couldn't drink on the ship. Really bad habits, though. I mean, yeah, I didn't gain any weight, but I definitely was not healthy by any means. And I worked crazy amounts of hours, no days off for 6 months. I know cruise ships sound kind of like a glamorous job and people want to do it. And I'm glad I did it because otherwise I'd be like, what if? But it sucked. Working 70 to 100 hours a week and you're stuck on where you're working, and if you don't clean your room, you can't get off the ship. Like, it was just, and there was 4 people in a tiny room with 2 bunk beds, a little couch, a little desk, and a TV, and a tiny, tiny bathroom. So it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and I was very disappointed. And the reason I went on the ship was because I had been on a cruise, and they had a chocoholic buffet. It was the same cruise line. It was a buffet just full of chocolate sculptures and just all these amazing desserts. And like, that's what I wanted to do. You know, after college, that's what I wanted to do. And I did it, but I was on an American cruise ship. It was American flagged. They had to pay us American wages. So they didn't have enough money to do the chocoholic buffet. Most of the stuff we pulled out was frozen, and I was very disappointed. So I didn't even get to learn and like do what I wanted to do on the ship. That was pretty much a complete bust. And after that, I still was around, my 200 pounds. I didn't lose, I didn't gain. But I came back home, and my boyfriend, who was from Boston, actually came to live with us. Soon after he came to live with us, we found our own apartment together. And that's where I started gaining the weight again. And it was my first time kind of being in my own place, like buying my own food, all that stuff. And of course I made the worst choices because I love my bread and my pasta. I was working at a pastry job, so I ate pastries at work, and then I got home and ate more carbs. So basically I gained probably about 35 pounds, pretty much back up to where I was when I was 13. After that, I realized I was in a very unhealthy relationship, and it made me super self-conscious and so upset and depressed that I didn't want to lose the weight. Like, the way he was treating me made me feel worse. And when I feel worse, I don't want to better myself. I just want to take comfort in food. Until I got out of that relationship, I was pretty much just in a really unhealthy relationship with food. But I finally got the courage to just leave him. And as soon as I did, I started losing the weight again. More naturally, just like feeling better about myself, not feeling so depressed, feeling happy that I got kind of my life back, if you can say that. But it didn't last long. I moved out with another friend and got an apartment together. And that turned into a bad relationship also. And I was just literally either eating Lenovo pizza that was within walking distance, or going to 7-Eleven to buy like kind of freezer stuff that I could easily microwave and eat in my room, because the situation was not good, like in the house. And I pretty much just stayed in my room for most of the year that I lived with him. And so I got no exercise or anything like that, working at a lounge. And I was drinking every night because I lived like down the street, and I drank for free, and I got to eat a meal there every day. And then on the days I didn't, like I said, I was in my bedroom eating. So that was another unhealthy relationship I got myself into right after I got out of one. I didn't really weigh myself at this point, but I look back at pictures and I was definitely way heavier than 238. I didn't weigh myself at all in this period of time, really. I don't have a lot of pictures either. But, so I have no idea what I weighed, but it was definitely more than I had ever in my life. Nothing much really happened. Like, I don't know what I weighed until finally I moved out and moved in with a friend that was actually a healthy relationship. I might have lost some weight at that point, but I don't know. And then I moved out into another apartment that wasn't very healthy cooking-wise. Like, I felt kind of like a stranger in my apartment, so I didn't like cooking, so I ate out a lot. And I was also still at the bar at that time, drinking most nights. So And then after that, the next probably like 8 years or so were kind of just a blur where I didn't really care at all about how I looked. Like I really didn't even notice that I was overweight. I guess maybe because I didn't have anybody telling me that I was overweight. I'd see myself in pictures and be like, oh, is that me? But I didn't weigh myself or anything. And then my 30th birthday came around. I had my own house by then. I had a good job. I was the sous chef that I was currently my last job that I just left. That's when I was at that job. And I went away to LA on a trip with my mom to visit my uncle. And I saw all the pictures and they were like full body pictures, which I never take like ever. Plus there's some other signs, like I had phlebitis in my leg, which was really painful, like really, really painful. It was just like these bumps on the side of my leg that if you touched them, like it was excruciating pain. And my mom said something like, oh, I remember your dad having that around the age of 30. And I'm like, wow, that was a little bit of a wake-up call because my dad isn't in the best of shape right now. And he's only, 65, something like that? And yeah, I didn't want to be there. So at that point, and I saw these pictures from LA, and I weighed myself. And I was at 268. This is the picture of the What Keto Upgrade Means to Me. I'll link it up there. That thumbnail picture was kind of the turning point. I saw that picture and I was like, yeah, I gotta do something about this because I'm getting upwards of 300 and it was a little scary because with the phlebitis in my leg and my dad has diabetes and, he lost his left leg, which is the leg I had the phlebitis in. We have really bad circulation. I think that's kind of a genetic thing, but just having all the extra weight on top of that is just, a bad combination. So I was worried about getting diabetes and realized I had to get the weight off. So, and of course I did it super unhealthily. And, I lost 80 pounds in probably a year and a half. Yeah, I got down to 185 in a year and a half with, I was dieting. I'd stopped drinking, which was good because I definitely needed it. I realized that I was drinking a little bit too much. So I quit drinking, which was good. I cut down my calories and watched what I ate, but I also got prescribed phentermine from my doctor. And this was obviously before I found keto or anything about healthy, medicines and stuff like that. I didn't care. I'm like, as long as it gets me to where I want to be, I don't care. And, it wasn't the healthiest way to do things, but I was exercising, going to the gym like crazy and, eating less. And I lost a lot of weight. But then comes Adam. And, his, birthday party in 2018, I went to, and, we started dating around Halloween 4 years ago. I slowly started gaining the weight back again. That's what happens when you get happy and in love, and he didn't care. But he didn't even notice that I gained 50 pounds, since we dated over the course of a year, pretty much. That brings us to 2020. And when I kind of accidentally stumbled upon paleo and then transitioned to low carb and keto. So that's where this story ends for now. That was my weight loss journey up until now. And then on the next update, I'm going to talk about how I found keto and the next 2.5 years up till now when I'm pregnant and gained all the weight back that I lost and how I'm feeling with that. So stay tuned for next week's little vlog update. I hope this video helps you guys out a little bit, knowing that I struggled just like many of you I'm sure are struggling right now, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It might not be keto for everybody. It might be just low carb or paleo. The point is you gotta find what's good for you. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And as always, I will be back with another keto dessert recipe. Bye.